This is James Hendricks with the Black Sheep Reports. The official ideology of Israel's state, Zionism, has been a disaster for Jews and Arabs alike, which ignores the history of a peaceful coexistence that once was the norm across the Middle East. Now, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should oppose Zionism. Number 1. Zionism claims that the Jews have the right to return to the land where their religion, Judaism, took root. Now, in order to create an exclusive Jewish state. Now, the land of Palestine is a virtual center of all 3 great religions which root in the Middle East: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. None of these can have an exclusive claim of ownership of the land. Number 2. Zionism claims that the Jews were exiled when the Roman Empire overthrew the Jewish temple in Jerusalem in AD 70. In fact, most Jews were already living outside the land of Palestine at the time of the Roman Empire. They were flourishing Jews throughout the Roman Empire and beyond. They were thriving Jewish religious, commercials, and craft centers in the great Egyptian port city of Alexandria long before the Roman Empire. And the great Jewish religious center in Babylon began 500 years before the Roman Empire and continued for hundreds of years after it. Jews living with non-Jews, for most part, is dynamic bias in Jewish history. Number 3. Zionism's real roots are in the Eastern Europe. At the end of the 19th century, more than half of the world's Jews lived in the crumbling empire of the Russian Tsar. Now, Europeans challenged these rulers. Revolutions threatened to sweep them away from the Jews, and the Jews just provided them a scapegoat. Now, the violence and widespread against the Jews were deliberately wiped out by the Tsars. Now, Jews began to migrate mainly to Western Europe and the U.S., but a tiny minority escaped the growing appeal of the Zionists and went to Palestine. These Jews formed the core of the Zionist settlement. Zionism was a colony movement backed by the Western imperial power. Number 4. There is no such thing as a colonial socialism. Now, the Zionist settlement began to displace the Arab peasants who tilted the land for centuries. Zionism also projected the Western imperialism. Britain occupied Palestine as a result of the victory in the First World War. Now, the Zionist settlement began to devise for securing its rule. As Winston Churchill said in 1921, Zionism is the good for the Jews and good for the British Empire. After the Second World War, the U.S. began its dynamic force in the region supporting Israel, and as U.S. President Ronald Reagan explained in 1981, with a combat experienced military, Israel's force in the Middle East that has actually benefited to the U.S. If there were not Israel with the force, we would have to supply it with our own. By the end of the 20th century, the U.S. had spent $100 billion supporting Israel. Number 5. The Nazi Holocaust cannot justify the right of the Jews for their own exclusive country in Palestine. Israel's Declaration of Independence in 1948 uses the Holocaust as justification. In the same year, nearly 1 million Palestinians were forced to flee their homes to make way for the Jewish state. In other words, the Palestinians were forced to pay the price for this European slaughter. Now, the Jewish state depends upon the exclusion of Palestinian Arab population to justify their robbery of Palestinian land. This is serious issue, and this is one of the worst crimes in history. Zionism prevents a just settlement between Arabs and Jews, but a settlement certainly is possible. This is James Hendricks with the Black Sheep Reports. Links are below. Subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Our page is Media on 9/11. Thank you.